Hello, my name is Albert, and in this video, I'm going to give you a good understanding on what Google Ads are, how they work, and how to determine whether or not Google Ads can help your funeral home grow. So here at Parting Pro, our mission is to provide the best death care experience for professionals and families. Over the past several years, we've helped thousands of funeral homes and cremation societies all across the country. As you probably already know, the funeral homes that we work mostly with focus on growing cremation volume, are typically doing higher volumes of cremation. And from my experience, the funeral homes that we've seen grow very quickly, let's define that as growing from a new business from 0 cases a year to 500 or 1,000 calls a year within just a few years, have all been able to leverage Google AdWords efficiently and effectively. So like I said before, the goal of this video is to understand how Google Ads works and to see if you can do the same thing for you as well. So quick side note, we now offer Google Ads services to all of our clients. Just a couple of months ago, we started running ad campaigns for some of our clients, or some of our partners, I should say. And it was going very well. It's not uncommon to see people grow from 5 to 10 or so cases per month, just within a few months. And as we started getting more results, the wait list got longer and longer. And this service is a little bit different than what we're used to, where we were very time constrained, because there's a lot of time involved with building out these campaigns. So we've hired 2 experts as full-time employees here at Parting Pro, and they'll be working on exclusively helping our partners grow their marketing business. I will say Google Ads is not a fit for everyone, so really the goal of this video is just to help you determine whether or not Google Ads is a fit for you as well. So back to the presentation here. I do want you to leave this video with a good grasp of how Google AdWords works and what it does. I don't need to get into anything super technical, but there are important concepts for you to understand when evaluating Google's as a marketing option, right? The first thing I want to talk about is some basic definitions. Let's define the difference between SEO and SEM. I have talked to a lot of people over the past, and they do use these terms interchangeably. But there is a massive difference. So just for your own information, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And to keep it really straightforward, this is to determine the order of organic traffic that is displayed for a search term. So for example, if someone searches something on Google, based on that specific search term, Google will try to find the most relevant websites to what it thinks that you're looking for, right? The better the SEO on these websites, the more likely they're going to rank that website first. The way that Google ranks organic search results has a lot of different factors. They don't exactly publish how this works, but it may contain things like the content that you have on your website, how many links people link to your website, the authority of those websites that link to your website. If your website's a business, does it have any reviews? What are people doing after they get to your websites? So there's a lot of different factors, right? And what's important to remember is that the term SEO only applies to organic traffic. And it takes a long time for you to build up the SEO of your website because Google needs to factor in all these different inputs. It has to determine a lot of different things. It needs data, right? It has to rank these things. So it takes time, okay? So keep in mind, SEO stands for organic traffic. That means that traffic is free. However, the downside is it takes a very, very long time to see results. Okay, it could be months or even years, right? Okay, now the next term, SEM, stands for search engine marketing. Okay, this is essentially exactly what Google Ads is. What Google Ads allow you to do is allow you to cut the line. So let's say you're a brand new business, or you just started yesterday. There's pretty much no way you're gonna get any sort of organic traffic to your business on the first day. But you can pay Google for your ads to be seen above your competitors right away, right? So the benefit to you is that you don't have to spend that much time building up your SEO, but the downside is that it costs money and it's paid. So for example, I just want to clarify this. When I search for a term, let's say I search for direct cremation urban California, that's where I'm at, right? You'll see that the first 3 links here are all sponsored. There's a sponsored link, sponsored link, sponsored link, right? The first organic link is going to be this Yelp page right here, which, I mean, you could probably argue some of these links in the Yelp page are going to be paid to Yelp, but my point is, this is an organic link, which means that Google is not getting paid from Yelp by displaying this link here. The other 3 links are getting paid by Google. Okay, and then when you go down below, there will be other websites. So just keep in mind, if you're a brand new business, you're not going to show up at the first page or even near the first page of Google because you're brand new, but you can pay to cut the line. Okay? All right, cool. So let's talk about Google versus display advertising, or Facebook in this particular in this particular instance, right? So believe it or not, I probably talked to a handful of people over the past year or so who have told me, hey, Albert, we've been advertising on Facebook for to grow case volume, and it hasn't really been working so well. And if you think about how display advertising works, it makes sense because let's say Facebook works like this, right? It shows you ads based on demographics. So for example, your age, your gender, your location, your interest. It has this profile on you, and we'll just show you ads based on the different cuts, right? The problem with when it comes to cremation is you cannot sell at-need services to someone that does not currently need at-need services, right? So even if I cut this demographic to, let's say, women above 70 years old, a very, very small proportion of these people that I'm going to advertise to are going to need your services, right? So that's why typically display advertising or Facebook in general, it doesn't very work so well with at-need services, is because you're just mass blasting these ads for display, right? On the other hand, with Google, you can very specifically target certain things, right? So let's say on Google, I'm going to say I want to target people searching for cremation in a particular area. So anyone that's in this zip code, for example, searching for cremation will see my ad. So you're going to show your ad to a lot less people, but the people that see your ad are going to be a lot more qualified to be becoming your customer. Does that make sense? Okay. So that's an important concept to understand, and when it comes to advertising on the internet, because not all advertising is the same. So let's talk about how Google Ads works, okay? Google essentially is this auction system. So think about this. Every time somebody searches a term on Google, Google runs this little internal auction where the advertiser will bid on keywords. Whoever bids the highest will get their ad seen first, and then second will be shown second, and so on and so forth. I mean, there's definitely other factors as well, which we won't get into, but there's going to be like quality score of your website, quality score of the ad, etc. that will affect the display of this ad. But for purpose of this conversation, whoever bids the highest will be shown first. So if you think about it like this, essentially Google is running millions of auctions every second on every single keyword or every single word in the dictionary, right? So this is why Google makes so much money, is because they basically own like 85% of search. I think the next person in line is like Bing, that owns like 7% of search, okay? So this is a little bit unfair just from like a monopoly perspective, I guess you can say. But what's really cool is that all the successful companies, all the cremation companies that have done very well, have been able to leverage Google because Google has all the traffic. You can buy traffic at scale on Google and have it perform well. Okay, so that's the upside to it. Okay, so setting up an AdWords campaign, right? How do you set one up? I'll give you a very, very high level. It's easy to explain, I guess, hard to execute on. But essentially what you want to do first is you want to research a list of keywords that are fitting to what you have to offer. So in your situation of offering cremation, your keywords might be like cremation near me, direct cremation, simple cremation, etc. Right? Then you want to group these keywords into ad groups or keyword groups, right? And you want to make sure that the words are in a way where they're grouped together and they're not overlapping with other keywords. That way you can kind of separate them out and you can see how they run. And then at the end, you're going to tie these ads to these keyword groups. And whenever someone searches a keyword, an ad might show up. You may have multiple ads per group of keywords. Google will automatically show certain A/B testing. So it'll show an ad to this group, ad to that group, and it'll basically determine which ad runs better. And you can optimize that way as well. And then you're going to want to analyze the results, see how that went. You're going to make changes, and then you're going to repeat it. Okay? So that's essentially how the basics of how getting these ads set up works. A good question people have is like, how does Google charge? It's a little bit different than traditional advertising like Facebook, for example, where you pay per impression. In this scenario, we're paying per click. So you ever heard that term PPC or pay per click? That's what it means. So you only pay money when someone clicks on your ad, right? You don't pay money when someone sees your ad. So the word for that is impression. They don't charge by impression, they charge by clicks. So this is good because it's like goal oriented, right? If someone sees your ad and they're not interested, they don't click on it, then you don't pay any money. It's only when they click on the ad when they pay money. So the life cycle of the lead is going to be like this, right? Someone searches on Google for, let's say, cremation, right? They look through all the results, and then your ad is at the top. They see your ad. They may click on your ad. They may not click on your ad. If they do click on your ad to the website, that is when the payment is taken on the click, right? And then at that point, they may leave and come back later where we would track them, right? Or they convert right there on the page. And converting might be defined as someone that calls you, calls a phone number, or goes to the Parting Pro checkout and pays you, right? So that is the life cycle of a lead. So you can see up to this point, if they see the ad, they don't click on it, they don't have to pay anything. If you click on it and pay it, people may click on an ad, and you may pay for them to click on it, and they may not buy anything from you. Okay, that's just the game. That's how it works. All right. So another important factor of Google Ads is the time to payback, right? The time to payback cycle is very, very short when it comes to Google Ads because most likely they search for something, they see your ad, they click it. If they don't do anything right then and there, they're probably not gonna come back to your ad, right? Because it's a whole another auction, right? They may not find it again, etc. So you know if the money that you're spending today has paid you back in a very short period of time frame, maybe like 3 or 4 days, right? So it's very easy to calculate whether or not these ads are productive for you or not because the ROI is so short. Whereas you're advertising on Google or a billboard, for example, it may be 3, 4, 5, 6 months before you even know that the money you spent today has actually paid back. Okay, cool. So obviously with Google Ads, it's very important to note that with the paid ads, you're not always guaranteed to be at the top because it depends on many different factors, like the terms that you're searching for. Every term is a different auction, if you will. The bid value, right? Your budget you have left. So if you spent all the money that day, you're not going to show up anymore if that money's been spent. I would argue that leveraging Google Ads is slightly more of a science than it is an art, although you do need a bit of both, right? For example, the art part of it would be writing that ad copy, writing that website copy. Obviously, the importance and quality of the copy you're writing is going to have a big effect on the ad as well, but the majority of the performance of your ad campaign is going to come from this simple word called optimization, right? Because over time, you're going to collect a lot of different data. You're going to have different keywords. You're going to have different ad groups. You're going to have different location cuts, right? So you're going to have all these different segments performing differently. And then as the algorithm learns, you can allocate budget to the ads that work well and then take away budget from the ads that don't work so well, right? And over time, Google is going to try to record these things they call conversions, which you can define as however you want. In our case, we might define it as a phone call or a checkout. And Google is going to basically determine what's going well, what's not going well, and then you can help Google learn. So over time, the ad will perform better and better and make your marketing dollars more and more efficient. So here's an example of optimization, okay? This is real data from a real partner. Okay, this is before we optimized. So this is what they were running. This is their campaign before. So here I'll help you just walk you through this. They have an average cost per click of $4. That means every time someone clicks on an ad, they pay $4, right? They have about 16 conversions. That means 16 people over the course of the month has either paid them or gave them a phone call. They spent 2.4K, so $2,400, and so that means they paid about $150 per conversion. Okay. And as you can see here, over time we optimized it. The cost per click actually went up a little bit, so they're paying a little bit more per click. But now they're getting 30 conversions instead of 16. Okay, with a very similar budget, and now their cost per conversion has dropped in half down to $82, right? And this is because we're just leveraging the ads that run well, and then deleveraging the ads that don't run well. Here's another example of another partner. They went from $6.46 cost per click down to $4. Their conversions went from only 3 to all the way to 19, right? So basically, now they're instead of $700 per click or $700 per conversion, which obviously isn't sustainable, we got that down to 71. They're spending less money and they're getting way more business. So this is the magic of optimization. Is in the beginning, the system has to learn how to do things, and over time, it gets better and better, more efficient. Same exact situation here. They cut their conversions down. Instead of getting 30 conversions a month at 2.5K, they're now getting 51 conversions a month at 2.5K essentially, right? So same budget, but way more results. So once again, this is to show you how important it is to be optimizing your campaigns, because you definitely want to be making sure the money that you're spending is paying you back right away. So there's a lot of different cuts you can make, when you optimize. There's a lot of flexibility with ads. You can target certain things. Here's a couple I just listed off the top of my head here, but you got like time of day, for example, right? So maybe you might want to run ads between 10 a. You don't want to run ads between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. because no one's answering the phone, right? So you can cut the ads like that. Or let's say, for example, for some reason between the hours of 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. the ads run very well. Everyone converts at that time. So you may spend more budget during that time and less budget on the other times. You can also cut by location, right? Based on the data, some areas might perform better. Maybe these ads work better in certain cities and less in certain cities. You can spend more budget on the ads that run in those particular cities than ones that don't. You can cut by demographic. Obviously, Google knows a lot about its users. It probably knows your age range. It probably knows your gender. Probably knows estimated income. So you can cut based on that. You can show certain ads to certain people, less ads to certain people as well. Device types one as well. I mean, for example, one thing that we realized is for some of our customers, people that search on tablets don't buy anything and they don't make phone calls, right? So people might be clicking your ad on tablets, but they may not be doing anything. So we could just turn off, for example, the ads for tablets, right? So you're just making a lot of different changes just to run more efficiently. Really, the aim is having a higher conversion. So other important factors of success is like your landing page, right? The landing page is basically the page or the website where you send that paid traffic to. This page is very important because it's really going to be where we get people to take an action, which is going to be to call you or check out. So keep in mind the most important thing you want to have in your landing page is going to be whether or not it has a good proposition value or value proposition, which is going to be like what you're offering, and then also has a call to action, which is going to be phone call, phone number, or checkout. So another important factor is you want to make sure that the landing page has a good correlation with the ad you're running. So for example, if my ad says free cremation, and once you click on the landing page says $14.95 cremation, then a lot of people are going to click on your ad and they're not going to do anything, right? Because there's a disconnect there. So these are very important things to consider when you're setting up your campaign to make sure that your dollars are getting spent well. Obviously, keywords are very important as well. You want to make sure that if you're looking for specific keywords, that they're what you're targeting for. So, like for example, if you're looking for cremation, you don't want to be targeting funeral or cemetery keywords in the same campaign. You might also want to include some negative keywords like pet cremation, for example, or cremation software might not be a keyword that you target, maybe one that we target, right? Things like that. Obviously, the ads are important. The ads that you write, like I said before, the copy has to be intriguing, has to be understandable, very simple, and it has to refer back to what the person is searching for. If I'm searching for direct cremation, then it has to be something related to direct cremation. And then answering service, one thing that we found is a lot of our partners who use the answering service typically do not do as well as those that don't. Even though families do end up arranging online, most of the time they're going to call and ask questions because they don't buy cremations every day, right? So if you have someone answer the phone live, you're going to see better results. Obviously, that's not always possible, so maybe the time it takes to get back to the person is important as well. But these are just important factors to success we found. It's not just all in the ads. There's other down funnel metrics that are important as well. Okay, so one thing to figure out early on if the Google AdWords is going to work for you is going to be how the math works. The exercise that you probably want to do first is you want to figure out how much profit you make per incremental cremation. So you want to keep track of your incremental fees. So obviously for every cremation that you do, if there's a removal fee that's extra, crematory fee that's extra for every single one, and permanent fee that's extra for every single one. One of the things you don't want to include is like rent, for example, or maybe you don't want to include employee costs if you're not hiring additional employee for extra cases. We're trying to factor in the incremental cost for a cremation, right? So you want to take all that dollar amount, you want to subtract it from the cost that you charge. So let's say, for example, you charge $14.95, your removal and crematory fee together and all the permits, all the extra costs is $600. So you take $14.95 minus $600, so you have an extra $900 to work with, right? That's a profit for each case. So then you want to factor in the potential cost to acquire that customer. That might be anywhere between $100 to $200. It might go up. So let's just call it $300 to be safe. So now you have an extra profit of $600. Is that $600 significant to you if you can do that at scale? If it is, then there's potential that this additional marketing could work. Let's say you take all your profits out and you're only netting an extra $100 in profit for every case that you do. In that scenario, it may not work for you because you can't afford to pay any sort of acquisition cost. And I can guarantee you, having Google AdWords will have some sort of acquisition cost, right? So I would say it's very difficult to tell you a number straight up, but just from experience talking to a lot of different funeral homes and working with a lot of different funeral homes, I would say on average the cost per case could be somewhere in between $100 to $200. And this is going to vary on a number of different factors. It'll vary on how much you're charging for it, the competition in your area, what the cost per click is, your location, the population, etc. And how this math is calculated, just so you understand. Let's say, for example, you run a campaign and 100 people have clicked your ad. And let's say that each click costs $6. So 100 people clicked your ad, $6 each. That means 600 people have gone to your website. And let's say out of those 600 people that have gone to your website, 3 of them ended up becoming a paid customer. And that's how we got 3 people. So we took $600 divided by 3, and we got $200 per case. So that's how you calculate cost per case. Obviously, if one more person out of the 600 paid you, then there would be $150 per case, right? So these numbers can vary, but this is how it's calculated. So we can't exactly control what the cost per case is, but we can do a lot of things that affect it, right? So obviously, having a better landing page, having a better checkout flow, having someone answer the phone right away. These are all things that we can do to make it more efficient. Okay, so with all that said, the next question is, can Google Ads help anyone? And the answer to that is no. I want to be very clear that Google Ads cannot help everyone. It's not a silver bullet. There are a lot of factors to consider when determining whether or not Google Ads will help your business. The first of which will be population. So, right, one of the biggest factors is population is because your target area has to be large enough where there's enough people searching for your services. Right? If there's not enough people looking for your services, then there's not enough traffic to buy, which means it's not going to work. The second point is going to be your price point. And there's no magical number that's low enough price point. It really depends on your competition, right? So for example, let's say in your area you're offering a direct commission price of $14.95. Everyone else in the area is offering for $9.95. Even if we're able to buy traffic to your website and they're searching, they see your ad first, see it for $14.95, then they see the competitors underneath for $9.95, there's a good chance they're going to go to the competitor just because of price, right? So it's very important that your price has to be competitive. The third thing is going to be budget. The budget that you spend on your ads has to cover variance, right? So for example, in the previous example, I talked about 600 people went to your website and 3 of them became a customer, right? There could be a scenario where everything runs the same and 0 of them become a customer and you're out $600. But over the course of time, maybe the next 600 people, there's 12 people who become a customer, and it averages out, right? So you need a big enough budget to cover this variance. Also, if your budget's not big enough, Google is going to prioritize other competitors that have a bigger budget, right? Also, a big factor is if your budget's not big enough, Google's not going to be able to learn and optimize. Once again, optimization is key, so you learn and it gets better as we go on, but you don't have enough data, it's not going to be able to optimize, so your budget needs to be big enough to cover all these things, okay? Hope that makes sense. Another important factor is you definitely want the optimization to happen on your account, right? I've heard a lot of scenarios where the vendor, the service provider has their own Google account, they share it with you, and once they end their services, they don't share the account back with you, and you just start from scratch, right? I don't think this is the case of how it should be. Basically, if you're spending ad dollars to Google, the optimization needs to happen on your account. What you can do is you create an account, you share it with the vendor, right? They optimize it, right? And then if you don't like them anymore, you can switch vendors, but you keep the account and you share that account with the next vendor. That way the next vendor doesn't have to start all over. Or you do it by yourself, it's done on your account, okay? You can share admin access from your account, and then you can take it away as you see fit. It's very important that the optimization is done on your account because that's where the money is. All right. So next up, people always ask me about a budget, and obviously I just talked about how the budget is very important. Like I said, it has to be successful enough to cover variance. There's no one size fits all, but we've done this enough where I can give you an estimate where I think to cover the goals of understanding what the metrics are going to be to be able to optimize, I would say the starting budget of $60 per day or $1,800 per month should be enough. And what you can do is you can forecast that budget for your population before spending all that money, and we can tell you what the estimated number of conversions are going to be. So really, you can actually forecast to see, is it going to be worth it to spend this money, or if it's not, and then if it's not, then you just don't spend that money, right? The goal is to eventually get that cost per case down to $100 to $200. Obviously, we have a lot of customers doing it for less than that. But yeah, with a $1,800 budget, you can expect to get 9 cases by the 3rd month, obviously, right? Because you're able to optimize it down. Obviously, month 1 and month 2 might be a little bit take more time to optimize, But essentially, that's what you can plan for, right? Also, call tracking. So with Google Ads, like I mentioned earlier, you're able to see your ROI very quickly because you can see if someone's gone to your website, they clicked on your app, they paid you, if they called you. One of the things that might fall off is if let's someone calls you and they do the appointment or arrangement over the phone, it's going to be difficult to track the success of those calls. So now we require call tracking for all of our partners that we work with. What it does, it records all the calls made to you from the ads. That way you get visibility over what calls you got were with the ads, what calls you got on your own, so you can differentiate that. But also, it makes it easier for us to optimize because now we quickly know, okay, this is a good call, this is a bad call. We can tell Google, and they can optimize based on those results. Versus we got actually 20 calls, for example, but some of them are good, some of them are bad. It's hard to tell. So if you can determine with call tracking which ads are good, which ads are bad, or which calls are good, which calls are bad, then you can optimize much more quickly. So what to expect from us? First, I want to mention that we are a Google Ads partner. And the benefit for that, without getting into it, basically it just says we know what we're doing. We're up to date on the latest trends. We have all the right relationships with Google. It's just a sign of, hey, we're up to this level of professionalism. Anyway, so what we'll do is we'll take a forecast of your business. We'll ask you some questions, like population, etc. Based on your service here, we can tell you this is roughly how many the business that we can expect to get you with this particular budget. And then what we'll do is we'll set up your campaigns. We'll optimize them as well over time. We'll run some local SEO stuff as well. Basically, we're just going to register your business at a bunch of different places. And like I said, SEO is organic. That's going to take longer time. But as you build out your marketing, Google will crawl these different directories. It'll rank you a little bit higher on organic traffic, which will take time. Eventually, over the course of, let's say, months or a year, you can start spending less money on the advertising, and organic will help boost that up. And typically, you'll see results within 2 or 3 months, so the turnaround time is very quick. So if you're interested to see if Google Ads can help you, please fill out this questionnaire that I'll be attached here. It'll answer some questions, that we can do a forecast for you, and we can chat to see if ads is for your business. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope this video helps. Thanks.